April 2008, Eastern Pacific. 98 cartel speedboats racing toward the U.S. coast, packed with cocaine. Worth $2.3 billion street value. The cartels thought they'd overwhelmed U.S. Coast Guard surveillance. Too many boats, too much ocean, no way to stop them all. They were wrong. The U.S. Navy had set a trap. Not with ships, not with helicopters, with something the cartels never saw coming. Within hours, all 98 speedboats were captured or destroyed. 0 escaped. The cartels lost everything, and the trap was so effective, they never tried this tactic again. This is how the U.S. Navy destroyed 98 cartel speedboats instantly and changed drug interdiction forever. Go-fast boats. That's what law enforcement calls them. Cartel speedboats designed for one purpose: outrun everything. 30 to 40 feet long, twin or triple outboard engines, 250 to 300 horsepower each. Top speed, 50 to 60 knots. That's 60 to 70 miles per hour on open water. They carry 2 to 3 tons of cocaine per boat. Fiberglass hulls, low profile, hard to detect on radar. Crew of 3 to 4, no weapons, just speed. And they work. For years, cartels used go-fast boats to smuggle cocaine from Colombia and Ecuador toward Mexico and Central America, then overland to the United States. U.S. Coast Guard and Navy intercepted some, maybe 10 to 15%. The rest made it through. The ocean is vast. Cartel boats blend with commercial fishing vessels. Radar can't distinguish them. By the time Coast Guard cutters respond, the boats are gone. 2007 was the worst year. Intelligence estimated over 500 successful cartel boat runs. Hundreds of tons of cocaine reached shore. Billions in street value. The cartels grew confident, arrogant. They increased operations. More boats, bigger loads, coordinated runs, overwhelming U.S. surveillance. April 2008. The cartels planned their boldest operation yet. 98 boats launching simultaneously from multiple South American locations. Heading for predetermined landing sites in Mexico and Central America. They called it the Swarm. Overwhelm U.S. interdiction forces with sheer numbers. Even if 20 boats got intercepted, 78 would make it through. Acceptable losses. The U.S. Navy was waiting, and the trap was already set. 6 months before the Swarm operation, U.S. intelligence agencies penetrated cartel communications. Not through informants, through signals intelligence. NSA detected encrypted satellite phone communications between cartel coordinators. Sophisticated encryption, military grade. NSA broke it. Took 3 months, but they cracked the encryption protocol. Suddenly, U.S. intelligence heard everything. Cartel planning meetings, logistics coordination, boat procurement, crew assignments, launch schedules, routes, landing sites. DEA and Coast Guard intelligence received real-time transcripts. They knew about the Swarm operation weeks in advance. Knew the launch date, knew the routes, knew the destination points. The cartels had no idea their communications were compromised. They continued planning openly, discussing details, making adjustments, all monitored by U.S. intelligence. U.S. Southern Command held emergency planning sessions. Standard interdiction wouldn't work. Not against 98 boats simultaneously. Coast Guard had maybe 15 cutters in the region. Even with Navy support, they couldn't intercept that many targets. Traditional tactics meant some boats would escape. Probably most of them unacceptable. They needed a different approach. Not chasing boats, trapping them. And they had the intelligence to make it work. The plan was elegant, simple, devastating. Instead of intercepting boats at sea, let them launch, track them, let them commit to their routes, then close the traps simultaneously at predetermined choke points. Geography made it possible. Cartel boats launching from Colombia and Ecuador must pass through relatively narrow sea corridors, channels between islands, approaches to landing sites, predictable routes based on ocean currents and fuel range. U.S. forces positioned assets days in advance, quietly, no visible buildup. no alerts. 3 Navy destroyers, USS Pinckney, USS Decatur, USS Hopper, positioned at strategic points along predicted routes. Radars active but in passive mode, just listening, not transmitting alert signals. 15 Coast Guard cutters, fast response cutters and patrol boats, pre-positioned near predicted cartel landing sites. 3 Orion maritime patrol aircraft, equipped with advanced radar and infrared sensors, orbiting at high altitude, tracking surface contacts. 2 Navy helicopters per destroyer, 6 total, ready to launch with boarding teams aboard. And the critical element, real-time intelligence fusion. All sensor data from ships, aircraft, and satellites fed into a single operations center, creating a complete tactical picture. Every cartel boat tracked from launch to interception. The cartels launched right on schedule. The 12th of April, 2008. Early morning. 98 boats departed from 12 different locations along the Colombia and Ecuador coasts. U.S. intelligence watched them leave, tracked every boat, identified which routes they followed, calculated intercept points. The trap closed. The cartel boats had no idea they were being tracked. Radar warning receivers detected nothing, no Coast Guard cutters visible, just open ocean. They cruised at high speed, confident, arrogant, thinking they'd outsmarted U.S. interdiction forces. 6 hours into the run, the trap sprung. U.S. Navy destroyers activated full radar, high-power surface search mode, illuminated every cartel boat simultaneously. Fire control radars locked on. The message went out on international distress frequencies, English and Spanish. Attention all vessels, this is United States Navy. You are detected and tracked. Stop your vessels immediately and prepare for boarding. Failure to comply will result in disabling fire. Cartel crews panicked. They'd never experienced this. Usually, they'd see a Coast Guard cutter and just outrun it. Now, they were surrounded. Destroyers ahead, cutters behind. Helicopters overhead. Some tried to run. Pointless. Destroyers traveling 30 knots easily paced them. Helicopters flew ahead and dropped smoke markers in their path, marking positions for boarding teams. Others dumped cargo, pushing bales of cocaine overboard, trying to destroy evidence. It didn't matter. P-3 Orion aircraft photographed every jettison, documented evidence. Coast Guard recovered bales later. A few tried to scuttle their boats, opening seacocks, letting them sink. Boarding teams arrived before boats went under, arrested crews, seized evidence, but most just stopped, realized they were trapped, surrendered. 98 boats, 98 surrenders or captures, not one escaped. The numbers were staggering. 98 boats were captured or destroyed. 371 cartel members were arrested. Over 280 tons of cocaine seized. Street value, $2.3 billion. Largest single drug interdiction in history. Not even close. Previous record was maybe 20 tons in one operation. But the seizure wasn't the real victory. The message was, the cartels realized U.S. intelligence had penetrated their communications. Their encryption was compromised, their planning exposed, their tactics obsolete. Worse, they realized U.S. forces could track and intercept entire swarm operations. Numbers didn't matter. Coordination didn't matter. If U.S. intelligence knew about the operation, it would fail. The psychological impact was massive. Cartel leadership went into crisis mode. How deep was the penetration? What else did U.S. intelligence know? Who could be trusted? Internal purges followed. Suspected informants executed. Communications protocols completely changed. Operations shut down for months while cartels rebuilt security. And go-fast boat operations dropped dramatically. Cartels shifted to submarines, semi-submersibles, underwater drug transport, anything to avoid surface detection. The swarm tactic never happened again. Too risky. Too vulnerable. The trap that destroyed 98 boats instantly changed cartel strategy permanently. This operation demonstrated how intelligence and technology create overwhelming tactical advantage. The cartels had numbers, speed, coordination. By traditional metrics, they should have succeeded. Some boats captured, but most escaping. But the US had intelligence, real-time tracking, sensor fusion, command and control architecture the cartels couldn't match. Every P-3 radar contact fed into the operations center. Every destroyer track correlated with satellite imagery. Every Coast Guard cutter positioned using predictive algorithms calculating optimal intercept points. The cartels fought a 20th century drug war, speed and numbers. The US fought a 21st century information war, intelligence and coordination. It wasn't fair. It wasn't supposed to be. Modern military technology creates asymmetric advantages. One destroyer with advanced radar tracks hundreds of targets simultaneously. One P-3 Orion surveils thousands of square miles. One operations center coordinates dozens of assets in real time. Cartel speedboats? Fast, but blind. They couldn't see the trap closing, couldn't communicate securely, couldn't coordinate response. The technological gap proved insurmountable. After April 2008, drug smuggling changed forever. Go-fast boats didn't disappear completely, but operations became smaller, more cautious. Singles or pairs, not swarms, different routes, unpredictable timing. Cartels invested heavily in new technology. Semi-submersible vessels, diesel-electric submarines, underwater tow systems, anything below the surface where radar can't detect them. They also shifted routes. Less reliance on sea transport, more overland through Central America, tunnels under the border, drones flying drugs across. US interdiction forces adapted too. Improved sonar for detecting submarines, underwater sensors, border surveillance technology. The cat and mouse game continued. But the rules changed. Surface swarm tactics became obsolete overnight. The trap that destroyed 98 boats proved coordinated surface operations were too vulnerable. Intelligence became the decisive factor. If US agencies knew about operations in advance, those operations would fail. Cartels learned to compartmentalize, limit communications, trust no one. Both sides evolved. Both sides adapted. But the strategic advantage shifted decisively toward US forces after April 2008. The trap that destroyed 98 cartel speedboats instantly wasn't just a tactical victory. It was a strategic game changer. The cartels thought they'd found the perfect smuggling method. Fast boats, overwhelming numbers, simple and effective. The US Navy proved them wrong. Intelligence plus technology plus coordination equals total dominance. 98 boats captured, 371 arrests, $2.3 billion seized. 0 escapes. Not a battle. A slaughter. One-sided. Decisive. The cartels learned a brutal lesson. You can't overwhelm an enemy who sees everything. You can't outrun forces that know where you're going before you get there. The swarm tactic died in April 2008, killed by intelligence, destroyed by technology, buried by coordination. And drug smuggling never looked the same again. If you want more stories about how technology and intelligence create overwhelming tactical advantages in real operations, hit that subscribe button for Battlescope. Don't forget to smash that like button and share this video with anyone interested in military strategy and drug interdiction operations. Drop a comment below. Could cartels ever develop technology to counter US surveillance? Or will intelligence always dominate? Thanks for watching. Stay sharp, stay informed, and remember, in modern warfare, information is the ultimate weapon.